Welcome to Beating Cancer Daily. Beating stage 4 cancer for 30 years still takes my breath away every time I say it. I'm Saranne, founder of the Comedy Cures Foundation, and I hope you'll join me for just a few minutes daily for the next 365 days so we may laugh, learn, maybe cry a little as we live our best days beating cancer daily together. I am in Costa Rica recording today, so I just want to shout out to all our listeners here in Costa Rica. Pura vida, that's what everybody says here. Pura vida. I am in a blue zone, which is so exciting because we did do an episode on blue zones. And so people live longer in the blue zone and they have all these great habits. And it's just exciting to be in a new place and get to travel and meet new people and learn about the culture. I actually took sugar cane and I made maple syrup, and it was so fun with an oxen. I love being in foreign places. And I remember being in the chemo chair so many decades ago, making lists of places that I wanted to go to on my living list. And Costa Rica was one of the places. So I am here and I'm inside. And I know you're saying, Saranne, why are you inside in Costa Rica recording a podcast? Jacqui's laughing. It's because I can't tolerate the heat. It's 90s to 100 plus degrees here every day. And ever since I went through all those radiation treatments and so many years of chemotherapy, I have less tolerance to heat. So I am the resort vampire. I'm just letting you know. I leave my room at 5 a.m. I walk around, no one's awake. And then I go out after sundown, and then I stay up late walking around the resort when everybody's asleep because they're so sunburned and they have heat stroke. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to get the party started. Do you get the joke yet? You will, because we use quality science-backed information and humor to connect with you 7 days a week. Yes, I do use bad puns in Beating Cancer Daily, but I want to reintroduce to you. I hope you've heard so many of the over 120 episodes with our functional medicine expert, whole health educator, certified health coach, RN, certified nutrition specialist, and just my bestie, Jacqui Bryan.
That's amazing. Well, first of all, I'm so jealous that you're somewhere warm because I am in New Hampshire, which I love New Hampshire, but it is rainy and cold today. So I'm thrilled that you're somewhere beautiful and warm and enjoying yourself.
Thanks, Jacqui. And you look beautiful today.
Oh,
I have to say every bad teapot.
yeah, but I don't know if they know we're talking about tea. So hopefully you figured out that today's topic is about tea. We're actually going to put a spotlight on herbal and spice teas and really the benefits for mental health and recovery. I'm even going to touch on green tea, which is what I'm sitting here and enjoying right now with Saranne as she's basking in the beautiful area of Costa Rica.
Well, it was really interesting because I knew that we were going to do this topic. And I snuck out of my room in sunlight, ran to the spa, and I saw that they had a whole shelf of tea. And I was like, wow, I should have done the episode before I went to the spa because I would have picked the right tea. And I would have known which one was going to energize me and which one was going to balance me and which one was going to make me sleepy. And so I was uneducated as I picked my tea. So I'm excited about today, Jack.
Well, this is a great topic. And what was really fun for me is I really thought I knew my tea. And then when, you task me with having to research things, I start digging in and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. Certain information, a little bit of research here, a little bit of study here. We'll cover some of those things today. But I think the bottom line is, many of us, myself included, I think you as well, Saranne, enjoy tea, herbal or caffeinated tea as a part of a daily routine. I know I do. I'm enjoying this tropical green tea right now that I'm drinking, and I'm very careful about the way that I consume my tea. I usually use a specific tea dispenser. I try to avoid the actual tea bags because many of the tea bags have microplastics in it, and those microplastics are things that we are concerned about for many different reasons. We will touch upon that. I think that's a really good podcast episode for another time. But for today, we're going to be just talking about teas and how they've been used for centuries to support our health. Things like relaxation and sleep, like you were saying, digestion, even emotional wellness. Herbal teas are often naturally caffeine free, except if you're going for some of the green teas or the black teas, but they have the plant compounds. And you and I talk about plants all the time, right? So plants have so many medicinal health benefits, including supporting our mood and even our stress levels.
It's really cute because I literally was writing so many jokes about tea. And I saw a lot of jokes online. I thought they could be improved for this podcast. So I varied a lot of different jokes. And I saw one that said, steep calm and carry on. Those t shirts that everybody wears.
It is so true. I think that's actually really good. I like that. I'm going to use that because I think about it as if you've had a long, hard day, you put something warm in your hands and then you're sipping it. And, it does promote relaxation and feelings of calm. And, we just touched on sleep and digestion, but it's also a good reminder of the fact that these plants are antioxidant rich. And as cancer survivors, you and I, we're particularly interested in antioxidants, right? Because they neutralize free radicals. The free radicals are the things that can lead to disease, right? Those are the things that we're most concerned about. So, in addition to helping us have mental clarity and focus, we're also doing something really good for our body. And I like to think of it as just another thing that we can add to our health routine that we've done in over the 120 episodes that we've done for our podcasts.
Yeah, I know that I'm having a deja brew, Jackie, because I can't wait to get that one in because I remember you're going to use all these in your teaching
I'm writing them
presentation.
down. I am writing them down. Deja brew. Love it. That actually, that's a good name for a coffee shop.
Yeah, we could open that.
That's really that we could that in addition to all the other things we have on our list, we could open a coffee shop.
But we don't drink coffee. We only drink tea. So it would have to be Deja Brew Tea
But you
Shop.
still brew tea.
Yeah,
Don't you brew? Yeah.
of
Yeah,
course,
that's
of
so cute.
course. Well, you steep
Yeah.
tea. That's why the other joke was fun. But anyway, I know that I've mentioned before that I was engaged to a British man who passed away, unfortunately, but he was such a tea snob. If you did not make tea exactly like British perfect, he would throw it out and he got very indignant about it. And after he passed away, I actually met the leading expert on tea in America. And she has every etiquette that you would ever need to know about tea. And from what you serve with tea, how you stir your tea, everything about tea. So, this is not what this podcast today is about. We are
No, but
not.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
You
it because
appreciate.
it's like wine connoisseurs, right? So,
Yes,
like, people that are or, I approach olive oil like people would approach wine, right? Like,
yes.
looking at the date, looking at the kind, looking at the I mean, it all has similar sort of etiquette or routines to it. So, I
When
think it's
you
important.
open up the tea canister, because I like to get loose tea, not just bags, I love to smell in the canister And then I
That's
love
nice.
to smell the tea after it has, steeped. I just love to take that in before I actually drink it.
Oh, I know it smells so good. But, I was thinking about what are some of the common herbs that we've heard about that are used in teas, things like chamomile we do at bedtime, peppermint we might think about for gut stuff, lavender for relaxation, lemon balm is one that I don't use a lot of. I actually use like fresh squeezed lemon, ginger, rosemary, cinnamon, hibiscus, and then lemon verbena. And I wanted to just bring in or weave in a little bit of research because that's what you and I do. We do evidence based conversations about things that people can bring into their daily routine to help improve their quality of health. And so the lemon balm, chamomile, and lavender have growing clinical evidence that support their use for mood and anxiety. And I remember reading a study a while back of some of the citrus, like even the smell of citrus can be really beneficial for reducing anxiety. They did like a nurse's study. I can't remember the exact name of the study because I'm sort of pulling it off the top of my head now, but they piped the smell of citrus into the nurses' station and they found that nurses had a reduction in their stress levels, which is one of the reasons I keep a citrus essential oil in my office and I sniff it throughout the day and it makes me happy. I really like it. What scents make you happy, Sarah?
I was going to say, when you said lemon verbena, I am a lemon verbena freak. Like, I spray it all
Oh,
over my
amazing.
house, I spray it on
Yeah.
me. I
Mhm.
walk around lemony, and people, when they hug me, they always go, "You smell so good. You smell so fresh."
Well, it's interesting to me because these herbs actually support the calming pathways of your nervous system. They provide us with antioxidants, anti inflammatory plant compounds. The green tea and black tea, although we're really focused on the herbal, non caffeinated ones, but these ones have caffeine, these actually have L theanine and polyphenols. And I sort of want to save L theanine for another podcast because I think it's really interesting. But just know that it's a natural compound that's found in not only tea leaves, but certain mushrooms. It's not necessarily a vitamin or a mineral, but it is an amino acid and it's known to help with relaxation and focus, which I think is pretty exciting.
Well, we need to save that podcast because I have to practice saying that word 10 times. So I'm glad we're not going deep, but I'll practice it. So I sound really smart when we do that episode. But I
Oh,
actually love green tea. I don't usually get black tea or white tea, but green tea I absolutely love. So I'm happy we're going to do that episode. And
yeah, I think it's a good one. I think it's a really good one. I mean, I think we know of some of the sort of general ones that we hear about in the restaurant, like chamomile. That's one that I think people have used for relaxation and sleep and digestion. What's really interesting in my doctorate program, we're reviewing a lot of herbs to use for gut health and healing, and chamomile is one of them.
yeah, I don't find it works for me, me and sleep. It's not something that really has an impact on me, but I do like the smell of it. So sometimes I'll order it just because I want to smell that beautiful chamomile smell.
Does smell good. What's interesting that I learned in this research was that it can cause a reaction in people that have ragweed allergies. So while these are herbs that are beneficial for our health, we want to make sure we don't have any sensitivities to them as well.
That's
What
so interesting because I've never been a huge chamomile fan and I am very allergic to ragweed. So
So
that's
maybe that's
interesting.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes you're intuitive, right? It sounds like you intuitively know this may not be a good fit for you. One that I've used frequently is peppermint or even spearmint tea. This one also, like chamomile, doesn't have caffeine. It's sort of cool and minty. It can help support digestion and also mental clarity. However, there's always a con to some of these things that we're talking about is that it can worsen heartburn in sensitive individuals. And I find that even though I don't consider myself sensitive to peppermint, I don't do it right before bed because I think when you consume either a food or a beverage right before bed and then you lay down, that can actually exacerbate like GERD symptoms, things like that. So I'm always very careful with that.
I am a mint freak. I love it. And I love when I'm in like a Moroccan restaurant and then they put all that mint, that fresh mint into the water, and then you just get this fresh mint. I would eat mint on anything. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I like sometimes mint with fruit. Lavender is one that I don't love. And I think I'm like in the minority there, right? I think that so many people love lavender. It's got that floral, kind of slightly sweet scent or flavor, and it can help with relaxation and sleep. I know the dentist's offices often pipe it in to their rooms. And I think maybe that's why,
I'm
because I'm,
allergic to it. I'm
yeah,
actually
I don't.
allergic to lavender.
It can be rather sedating for some people. So for me, like lavender is not my go-to, but it really does work well. I know my daughter loves it. So, for to each their own, but it's not necessarily something that I would do. Like you, I like lemon. So lemon balm is that citrusy kind of herb flavor, good for relaxation and focus. And again, like lavender, it can be mildly sedating, which I think is really interesting, right? To think about, the impact that it can have. I'm someone that loves that citrusy part. When I was reading about rosemary, have you ever heard of rosemary being used for tea?
No, I had to think. I actually had to visualize and think, and no.
Yeah, it's funny because I put rosemary on my salmon.
Oh, I love rosemary on potatoes, on anything.
I wasn't thinking about sipping it, but rosemary is a sort of got that piney, earthy, and herbal taste. And it's funny because even just saying the word rosemary, I can almost taste what it is in my mouth, right? But I just don't think about sipping it. And this is another herb or spice that is actually one that's good for mental clarity and cognitive health. Large amounts can be very overstimulating to the system. So be very mindful of that, I think. But, next time you think about putting rosemary on your potatoes or your salmon, maybe take a sip of it. Who knows? Might be worth giving it a shot.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on rosemary tea. I'm not there. We're so alike in our
I
tea
know, I'm laughing.
tastes.
Yeah, we really are. Ginger. I'm we've shared stories of the nausea and vomiting, and I was sort of that pukey person during chemo. Everything sort of upset my stomach. I think ginger played a big role in helping me. It's kind of warm and spicy. I like ginger. It's not only good for digestion, but it is good for nausea, which is how I really discovered it. And it can feel warming inside your system.
So I love ginger too. So we are like 5 for 5, I think, right now, Jackie, which is so funny. I said she was my best tea. Now that makes a lot of sense, right?
It does make sense. It does make sense.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I actually got some gastric issues because I ate some not properly washed salad and got a really upset stomach here in on my trip. And I did use ginger to help settle my stomach, and I did use ginger tea. So I practice what you preach. Look at
Ah, I thought you were looking rather slender today, Saranne.
that. I am fine.
Food poisoning is the worst. Oh, so hard, so challenging to
Especially when you're
navigate.
on vacation, because you're like, I am paying for this. I am paying for this. But I rebound quickly. And that's what we were with a group of people, and everyone was like, you were like dying this morning, and you are like up and out and active. And I think that's one of the gifts that going through cancer treatment teaches you. It's that resiliency. And because I had so many episodes of, nausea and vomiting from all the chemotherapy, a little bit of food poisoning is, yeah,
Yeah,
amateur stuff. Like,
it puts it all in perspective, right?
yeah.
It puts it all in perspective. I was thinking about, when I was doing this research about how many of these herbs and teas that they're listing that I actually use in practice, but not necessarily as a tea. But now I'm going to, because cinnamon was one of them that I talked to my clients about sprinkling on their food to help support blood sugar balance. I mean, cinnamon is kind of sweet and warm. It's very aromatic. I love the smell of cinnamon. I remember when my son got COVID and lost his sense of smell, I did scent training with him. We actually got all these different strong scents for him to smell. And cinnamon was one of the first ones that came back for him, which I was so grateful for. But, cinnamon is great for blood sugar balance, but it can irritate your stomach if you do too much of it. So I'm going to talk about at the end how we can combine some of these so that you can achieve the goals you're looking for, which I think is fun.
Jackie, I love cinnamon so much that I had to learn it in Spanish because I put it on my oatmeal every morning. So I can tell you now it's canela in Spanish
Oh,
because I would walk around going, "Could I have cinnamon?" And everybody was like, "Cinnamon." And then finally someone went, "Oh, canela." And I was like, "Ah, canela." So now I just
yeah.
go into the breakfast room and ask for canela every day. I love it. I actually read once that it's very dangerous to inhale it.
Yes, I
So
have read that too. Yeah,
it's
that's so
really
true.
it's really so I trust Jackie because she's a medical professional to use it as a scent refresher for her son. But I know that even if you like inhale it through your throat, like you cough and then somehow you breathe in and you breathe in a lot, I feel irritated after, but I
Yeah.
just don't feel irritated when I eat it.
We did tinctures, right? So we did tinctures of smells. So it wasn't a powder. It's such a great point, Sarah. And you don't want to be taking a big old whiff out of all these jars. He did it actually as a tincture for, we did vanilla, we did some very distinct smells to go back and do the training. But that's a really excellent point. One that I use for gut healing is licorice root because it's good for digestion and stress management, but people actually drink licorice tea, which I've not done. I think about I have a family member that loves like black licorice, and it was actually the real licorice. Nowadays when you see the candy brands, it's not real licorice, right? And so I think hopefully you know what I mean when I say real, meaning having the real ingredients and not fake.
Hey,
But
Jackie, I get to use the same joke again. Deja brew. We have an on licorice. Do you remember that? We did
yes,
it. That
yeah.
was
So we have
fun.
to We have to get the real stuff, keeping in mind that large amounts can irritate the stomach. But one of the flowers that I enjoy are hibiscus. Do you like hibiscus flowers? They're beautiful. And hibiscus is actually got this sort of tart cranberry-like flavor. It's really rich in antioxidants. It can support heart health. One of the things, a side note though, is it can lower blood pressure. So many of the people that I interact with, we talk about ways to use natural foods to help manage symptoms. And, this could be a potential for helping to manage blood pressure. But on the flip side, if you run a low blood pressure or you're on a blood pressure lowering medication and you're drinking lots of hibiscus tea, you need to be aware that could have an impact on your blood pressure for sure.
And guess what? They gave us hibiscus sorbet last night.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, it was that beautiful color that you're talking about, and I loved it. I thought it was incredible. I should have thought about what it did to my blood pressure, but it was just sorbet. It wasn't actually a tea, but it was fabulous. And then they gave us guava liqueur, which I'm
Oh,
not a drinker, but I
yeah.
took a tiny sip and it really tastes like guava. I was like, wow, how do they? I like it's amazing to me, but they
Yeah.
really use the resources of what they have here. It is truly farm to table. So I'm
Well,
getting
that's what
to
I was gonna
experience so
say.
many things.
The quality, right? So it's not highly processed. The quality of what you're consuming there, even if it has a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of sugar, is probably far better than what you would get if you were going out and fast fooding it or something along that line. So I did want to touch on your favorite, the lemon verbena. And that's, as you said, your favorite, but it's got that bright kind of lemon herb flavor. It's good for digestion, good for relaxation, which you kind of figured out, but large amounts can actually irritate your kidneys. So I didn't know if you knew do that or not. But I know we've been concerned about kidney stones. We've talked about kidney stones in the past, but that could be somewhat irritating. It doesn't mean that it will be. It just means the potential is there.
So funny. My kidneys are like a quarry. We talk about it all the time. So maybe it would be like, nah, like to my kidney stones.
Calling them a quarry is hysterical. That is, it makes me feel your pain, but calling them a quarry is hysterical. That is
But
very
that's
funny.
what my nephrologist called my kidneys. Like, I didn't make that up. He just went, darling, you got a
Oh,
quarry in there. I don't even understand how you're walking around, but it's
see, I
my
would have taken
quarry.
credit. You should have taken credit for that. That's a good comedy joke right there. Calling them a quarry. Have you heard of linden flower?
No.
Linden flower is another one. It's mild, sweet, floral. It's calming, relaxing. It's good for sleep. It's just recommended that you don't do it in high doses. And I think there might be a little bit of toxicity there. So, any of these things we don't want to do too much of. We want to be able to bring them into our lives in a reasonable amount. Again, if you are in active treatment for cancer, chemotherapy, radiation, you always want to run these by your provider, especially if you're trying to use them for medicinal reasons. The green tea is one that does have a little bit of caffeine. All the other ones we mentioned before has no caffeine in it. I love green tea. Saranne loves green tea. It's rich in antioxidants. It's calming, can help with focus. It does have that L-theanine, which Saranne's going to work on pronouncing before our next podcast where we do. But the L-theanine is really helpful when it comes to relaxation and concentration, and even black tea. Black tea has more caffeine than green tea. It's kind of bold and malty, it's described as. It helps with alertness and focus. But again, that caffeine can disrupt your sleep a little bit. It can lead to anxiety as well.
I feel like we should probably do a whole episode on matcha because
Yes.
it's not something we should just stick in at the end. It's such a craze right now. There are matcha shops opening up all over New York. It's so
They are, and
popular.
and matcha can be healthy or it can be prepared very unhealthy. So it's really important to know, what's going into your matcha. Like anything that we've talked about, right? What are we actually putting in those foods? Now, a little bit of a spoiler alert when we do the L-theanine episode, that's going to talk about matcha.
Okay, so we'll
Okay.
bundle that in there. And I know that you're going to start to tell us that the tea can be great for us and healthy. But if we're pounding it with white sugar and heavy cream, that we're going to be knocking out a lot of the benefits. So, what would you say if someone just doesn't want it straight up? What could be healthy
Well, I
ways?
mean, you can add in healthy things, right? You could do a squirt of lemon. You could do a plant-based milk in there, or you could add in like an organic dairy if that works for you. I mean, some people like to ice these teas as well, so you can make them ice as well. I did want to mention ways that you can blend them to achieve some of your health goals because I think that's pretty interesting.
Oh,
So,
wait, that's
for
cool. But I want to say you didn't say honey. I was waiting for you to say put a little honey in there.
You could do honey. I mean, you could add in honey, raw honey. But again, if you're in active treatment, anything raw is something we want to be very careful of because it can contain bacteria. And if you are immunocompromised, that puts you at risk for catching something.
Oh,
And
that's a
again,
great point.
yeah. And then honey also is perceived by the body as a sugar. And so if you're going to add honey to anything, make sure that you're having this tea with a protein, fat, and even a fiber so that it doesn't spike your blood sugar, right? Because if you're doing cinnamon to control your blood sugar and you're adding a bunch of honey to it, it kind of offsets the purpose a little bit. But if we were going to talk about ways that we can blend some of these teas together to help you meet your goals, for someone who wants to feel calm and even enhancing their sleep, they could do chamomile, lavender, and lemon balm. If you're struggling with digestive issues, we could do a mint, like a peppermint or a spearmint, ginger and cardamom. And then if someone's really struggling with just feeling low energy and they want to be uplifted and want to focus more, we could add in that rosemary and take it off the salmon, put it in the tea. We could do some green tea and even lemon peel. And then if you're looking for zen, right? So you could add in that lemon verbena, which you really enjoy, Saranne, the linden flower, the lavender, chamomile, and spearmint. That's a really nice blend. If you were looking to kind of just decompress, and even if you're feeling sad, maybe some lemongrass because that citrusy is very uplifting, lemon, verbena, hibiscus, lavender. And then even if you're just looking to balance blood sugar or reduce inflammation, you could do cinnamon, clove, turmeric, and black pepper. And so the big question I get from people is how do I, prepare this, right? So you want to steep, if you were to combine any of those, 1 to 2 teaspoons per cup of hot water, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then just adjust according to your taste. And that's really as easy as it is. I mean, it's so easy to bring these in. And I think it's exciting to learn about new ways that you can combine these herbs and spices in a way to enhance your health.
And I would just say get really high quality products because if you're
Yes, for
just
sure.
getting the 99-cent one, it's just going to have stuff in it that's not good for us. I think you really have to get a good brand and stick with it, and if you can do the loose version, do the loose version. I think it's
Yes.
really
Yeah.
important.
Well, like
Jackie,
anything we've talked about, Sarah, is really us understanding how the food is sourced, right? Like, where is this coming from? Is it because you can spray anything with pesticides, right? So we want to make sure, like, I drink organic teas because I know that they're often sprayed, and same, I don't drink coffee, but I recommend organic coffee to people because they're not heavily sprayed with chemicals. So those are things for us to definitely consider for
and you
sure.
can have a mint plant. I mean, there's some of these things that you could grow. I mean, we talked about the rosemary. You could grow your own rosemary and not spray it and then put in your own tea. This was Tea-riffic, Jackie.
It
I
is terrific seeing you today, Sarah.
Thank you. I wanted to beat the amount of puns that I said in our excellent egg issue. Like, I tried to come up with more than that episode because I was like, I bet I could beat my best of how many. So, thank you for putting up with me. And I really want to thank you, wherever you are listening in the 144 plus countries listening to us every day. We are almost at 420 original daily episodes. And that is just shocking to me that we get to do this every day. Jackie, you've been part of so many of the 400 and almost 20 episodes. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's amazing we can talk that much.
I know we can. It's amazing that I could do 300 additional episodes too.
Can't help yourself.
But I just want to thank you and our listeners so much for coming.
Oh.
I love you, girl.
Love you too. Thank you.
So it is just a pure delight to be able to write bad puns for you wherever you are listening in the world. But to really deliver this, as I said, quality science backed information with Jacqui Bryan every week. So have a blessed day. Grab a cup of tea, and I'll see you tomorrow. If you loved today's episode, then tell the world. Why? Because Beating Cancer Daily is a listener and donor supported experience. So the more people you tell and the more people that join us, the more robust and interesting programs our nonprofit, the Comedy Cures Foundation, can bring to you throughout the year. So if you have some extra change, I'd love you to go to comedycures.org and make a donation today of whatever level is comfortable for you. And it will be tax deductible to the extent allowed by law. Because Comedy Cures is a nonprofit 501c3 organization founded from my chemo chair, April 1999, and we've been going strong ever since. So please consider making a donation today and help our community and this podcast thrive. Guess what time it is? It's time for me to read the disclaimer. Beating Cancer Daily and the membership circle are not in lieu of medical advice or treatment. They are for entertainment purposes only. Please consult your healthcare team to review your best strategy. Thanks for listening. See you guys tomorrow.